On the morning of July 24th, 2025, the world was shocked by the sudden passing of Terry Jean Bollea, known globally as wrestling legend Hulk Hogan. According to official police reports and eyewitness accounts, first responders were dispatched to Hogan's residence in Clearwater, Florida, at approximately 9:51 a.m. Emergency personnel were seen performing chest compressions as Hogan was wheeled to an ambulance in critical condition. Despite attempts to revive him, he was pronounced dead at Morton Plant Hospital at 10:17 a.m., during what authorities confirmed to be a cardiac arrest. Clearwater police have stated that no foul play is suspected. A press conference with few answers. Later that afternoon, the Clearwater Police Department held a press conference, led by Major Nate Burnside and Deputy Chief Giant Ken Filler. The conference was brief, confirming only Hogan's passing and the time of death. The department emphasized the seriousness of the medical situation upon arrival, but declined to elaborate, citing an ongoing death investigation. No questions were taken, and officials requested privacy for the family. Additional details, including autopsy results or medical history, are expected in the coming days. Reports of illness and final health battles. NBC News confirmed that Hogan had been unwell for weeks leading up to his death. According to their U.S. correspondent, David Blevins, the 71-year-old icon had undergone major heart surgery in June 2025, though the details of the procedure were never made public. Despite the public statements that his health was stable, Hogan reportedly continued to battle complications in private. The sudden cardiac arrest, while tragic, was perhaps foreshadowed by these private health struggles. Emergency services arrived at his home in Clearwater, Florida, after a 911 call early that morning. The wrestler was taken to a nearby hospital, but was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. A community in shock. Reactions from fellow wrestlers. Following the breaking news, tributes from the wrestling community poured in across social media platforms and live interviews. WWE superstar Chelsea Green appeared on air to reflect on the loss, visibly emotional as she recalled her first reactions to the devastating news. "He was an absolute icon," she said. "If it weren't for Hulk Hogan, there are many of us in the wrestling industry who wouldn't be here. He inspired a massive generation." Green, who had just announced a line of action figures that included Hogan at Comic-Con that same day, shared that she had seen him recently at the Netflix premiere of Monday Night Raw in January. "He was full of life and spirit, just glowing. That's the Hulk I knew and looked up to," she said. A legend beyond the ring. Chelsea Green also offered a personal glimpse into Hogan's real-life presence. As a fellow Florida resident, she often encountered Hogan casually, at the beach, in local shops, always larger than life, yet down to earth. You'd see him and the whole place just shifted. He had that kind of energy, she explained. Reflecting on her husband's fandom and how deeply the news had affected not only her co-workers, but her own household, she added, "He was one of a kind." When asked if she had a favorite memory of Hogan, Green admitted it was impossible to narrow it down. "His impact is too big for one moment," she said. "But I will say, 10 years ago, before I was even in WWE, he gave me words of encouragement I'll never forget. That positivity has stayed with me through my career." The trail he blazed for women and Hollywood. What also stood out during the emotional segment was Green's acknowledgement of Hogan's support for female wrestlers. She expressed gratitude for his openness and said his encouragement helped women in wrestling feel seen in a predominantly male industry. She pointed to the career paths of The Rock and John Cena as examples of how Hogan paved the way for wrestlers to enter Hollywood and mainstream entertainment. "Hulk Hogan walked so we could all run in Hollywood," she said. "There are people who don't know wrestling at all, but they know who Hulk Hogan is. That kind of star power is rare. When asked whether another like him could ever emerge, Green paused and said firmly, "There couldn't possibly be. There's only one Hulkster." Remembering a giant, from guitars to glory. Before he ever stepped into the squared circle, Hogan was a professional guitarist and even a minor league baseball pitching prospect. He made his wrestling debut in Florida in 1977. By 1979, he had fully adopted the persona of Hulk Hogan, a larger-than-life character destined to become a household name. His official breakout came in 1984, when he defeated the Iron Sheik at Madison Square Garden to win his first WWF World Heavyweight Championship. That match wasn't just a title win, it marked the beginning of Hulkamania, a cultural phenomenon that would define professional wrestling for a generation. The face of 1980s. Wrestling throughout the 1980s, Hogan became the face of the WWF, now WWE. With his handlebar mustache, red and yellow gear, and booming charisma, Hogan wasn't just a wrestler. He was a symbol of power, patriotism, and perseverance. He was a five-time WWF champion during his original run, and the headliner of the first 9 WrestleMania events. His match against Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3, where he famously body-slammed the 500-pound legend in front of over 93,000 fans, remains one of the most iconic moments in sports entertainment history. Hulkamania. Transforming wrestling into family entertainment. Before Hulk Hogan, professional wrestling occupied a niche corner of the entertainment world, largely regional, often gritty, and overwhelmingly catered to an adult male audience. But when Hogan burst onto the scene in the early 1980s, he brought with him an unprecedented fusion of superhero bravado and everyday relatability that reshaped the entire industry. Clad in red and yellow, flexing his signature 24-inch pythons, and shouting catchphrases like, "Say your prayers and eat your vitamins." Hogan was the first wrestler who truly resonated with children, parents, and casual fans alike. He became a bridge between the muscle-bound spectacle of wrestling and the clean-cut appeal of Saturday morning cartoons. Vince McMahon, who had taken over the World Wrestling Federation from his father, recognized that Hogan's charisma had the potential to take wrestling out of smoky local venues and into living rooms across America. Their partnership was nothing short of revolutionary. With Hogan as the face of the company, the WWF launched national television deals, merchandising empires, and cross-promotional campaigns that exploded in reach and revenue. WrestleMania 3. The slam heard around the world. While Hogan's rise had already ignited a cultural movement, it was WrestleMania 3 on March 29, 1987, that would cement his legacy in the annals of pop culture. Taking place at the Pontiac Silverdome in Michigan, the event drew an estimated 93,173 fans, then the largest indoor attendance for any sporting event in North America. The main event pitted Hogan against the legendary Andre the Giant, who had been billed as undefeated for over a decade. The climax of the match came when Hogan, against all odds, lifted the 520-pound Andre over his shoulders and body slammed him to the mat before delivering his signature leg drop. The crowd erupted into one of the loudest reactions in wrestling history. That moment, replayed endlessly in highlight reels and WWE retrospectives, became the defining visual of Hulkamania. It wasn't just a wrestling move, it was a pop culture moment that symbolized triumph over impossible odds. From the ring to the big screen, Hogan's popularity wasn't limited to the wrestling ring. He crossed over into mainstream entertainment with roles in films such as Rocky III as Thunderlips, Suburban Commando, Mr. Nanny, and No Holds Barred. He hosted Saturday Night Live, appeared in commercials for brands like Right Guard and Honey Nut Cheerios, and starred in the VH1 reality series Hogan Knows Best, which offered a glimpse into his family life. Hollywood Hogan and the heel turn. In 1996, Hogan reinvented himself by turning heel for the first time in his career. Joining WCW and forming the villainous NWO, New World Order, he became Hollywood Hogan. This shift not only shocked fans but also revitalized his career. The NWO storyline, fueled by Hogan's charisma and betrayal of his Hulkamania image, sparked one of the most profitable eras in wrestling history. The Monday Night Wars between WWF and WCW, WWE Hall of Fame, and continued influence. In 2005, Hogan was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame by none other than Sylvester Stallone, his Rocky III co-star. The induction was a heartfelt moment of mutual admiration between two larger-than-life figures. WWE's statement following his death echoed his importance to the company and to pop culture at large. WWE is saddened to learn that the Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan has passed away, one of pop culture's most recognizable figures. Hogan helped WWE achieve global recognition in the 1980s. Political presence and cultural symbolism, Hogan's influence extended into the political arena as well. He famously endorsed Donald Trump for the presidency and made appearances at Republican national conventions, most recently in 2024. Standing on stage with Trump just days after the attempted assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, Hogan ripped his shirt off to a roaring crowd, delivering a speech filled with patriotic fervor. Political analysts have suggested that Hogan's support played a role in energizing conservative voters, especially those nostalgic for the Reagan-era values he once represented. A complicated legacy. Despite his fame, Hogan's career was not without controversy. In 2015, he faced public backlash after a leaked sex tape and accompanying racist remarks surfaced. He was temporarily removed from WWE's Hall of Fame and had most of his branding pulled from company programming. Hogan later apologized and was reinstated into the Hall of Fame in 2018. His use of steroids, which he admitted in a 1994 trial, also drew criticism but reflected broader issues within the industry during the era. Tributes pour in wrestling legends and fans have taken to social media to express their grief. Ric Flair wrote, "No one will ever compare to you. You were there for me when I needed you most. Rest in peace, my brother." Sergeant Slaughter, who wrestled Hogan in the main event of WrestleMania 7, reminisced about their iconic storyline and praised Hogan for helping reignite his career. Tampa Bay locals gathered at Hogan's hangout, leaving flowers and notes. WWE commentator Michael Cole described him as the Babe Ruth of wrestling. Final reflections on an American icon. Hogan was not just a wrestler. He was a phenomenon. He redefined what it meant to be a sports entertainer. From the mid-'80s through the early 2000s, his voice, image, and persona became synonymous with American heroism, strength, and showmanship. He was an entertainer, a patriot, and at times a controversial figure. But more than anything, he was unforgettable.